This episode, I changed the ride height, we scratch built the ring, and we modified the motor, the engine. Interested? Stay tuned. Hello YouTubians and fellow hobbyists. I hope you're all doing fine and your workbench is full of nice model parts. On my bench is this time the 70s Ford Torino Cobra. My wife bought it for me, and all that I did to it was opening the plastic bag and have a sneak peek. But now is the time to really start the build and check all the parts in detail. After the kit was washed with soapy water, I was ready to clip all the parts from the tree. This homemade wood tray is helpful to keep all the parts organized. Almost all my cars get a ride height correction because they're too high for my taste. Every car is different, but the rule of thumb, 4mm in the front, 3mm in the rear axle, works just fine. To be sure, it's of course better to take some measurements on the valid points. To lower the rear, I put a block between axle and the leaf springs. The front is a bit tricky, and usually I take a 1mm styrene sheet and drill a slightly smaller hole as the 4mm rod. The glue will melt both sides a little bit, and this way they fit together really tight. After a night of drying time, I will cut off the original rod and glue the new half axle 4mm higher on the A-arm. The car will be a daily driver, therefore some weathering to the chassis was acquired. The body itself had some issues. While the right quarter panel was just fine, the left side had some sink marks. But with some sandpaper and a lot of patience, I was able to fix it. For the body I chose the color blue. While the paint was drying, I started with the grille. Carefully, I removed the extra material until I was able to see through. Next up was the engine. The alternator was cut off from the plastic timing belt and I put 2 pins in it. Now I'm able to slide the alternator back and forward to the right position for the new timing belt. New pulleys are also installed and needed a night to completely dry. I really like the look of the rims on the box artwork, so I painted them first in black. Liquid masking was then applied on all the spots which will be later black. The next color was then a dark aluminum, and the last step, the masking, was of course removed. Now for the interior, I was thinking white would be a good contrast to the blue. But before I even could think on the right color, I figured that the headrest looks just too plain to me. So a while ago I made these loudspeakers out of cardboard, and I also casted some from a kit. In other words, the perfect solution for the boring headrest. My dad always said, measure twice, cut once. So it's time for following his advice. Gluing in the subwoofer would be too simple. Therefore, I needed to have a mounting ring on top. Well, scratch building straight things like rectangles and boxes is one thing, but getting something perfectly round is a different task. But not impossible. First, I cut out the inside because there is still enough material to hold on to. Next, I cut as close as possible to the line and break the part away. Last step, sanding exactly to the line. And done, a perfectly ring from scratch. Six screw heads on top and we're looking good. The body is now dry enough, time to add the decals. Of course the decal needed to dry, so while that happened I finished up the engine. And after some more finishing work, I proudly present here the finished build. Alright, that's all for this episode. I hope you liked the build. Hope you have plenty of exciting builds on your workbench. Keep on building. Bye y'all!